Thank you for including me. I feel really honored to be in a room with people who are brave and also sort of reclaiming themselves. And I think that's something that I learned recently, that there are a lot of structures in place that keep us from reclaiming ourselves. It's sort of a hustle. People make money off of things like jailing people and death. And I think being able to point out that poison can be really healing in and of itself, that there are things in the way that keep us from growing. So I'd like to sort of pretend like I'm starting from the beginning and say Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. Peace and blessings of God, Allah, be upon you. I'm a proud Muslim American. I'll say that again. I am a proud Muslim American. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, the Muslim religion is one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse in the world. But often it gets talked about in a very reductive or narrow way. And not just by, conservative boogie monsters. A lot of times, even in the liberal world, right, people that are people of color get sort of patronized in this patronizing relationship when we sort of understand bits and pieces about people's identity and we sort of ride with it because we live in insular bubbles. And things like this are great because it sort of begs us to reach across and to actually sit down with somebody and have a conversation about who they are, not just sort of, pick and choose. So that's why I wanted to start with what I'm proud about in terms of my identity. But it wasn't always that way. When I was in high school, my freshman year was right after, my freshman year, but the first week of school was 9/11. And Muslims in the world are more likely to die from terrorism than commit terrorism, right? But that's not the story you hear. And then the remnants of it, the political remnants in the West, are that you get bullied for being a Muslim. And we all have this axis of privilege and disadvantage. So I definitely have my privileges. But one of the things that happened to me in high school, my dad was sick throughout high school. He passed away in 2011. But throughout my upbringing, he had cancer, triple bypass heart surgery, and then he had septic shock twice. He survived through all of it. The second time, he passed away suddenly. But when you're living in this environment and you go to school and you don't feel fully accepted, you start doing things that make you feel extraordinary just to be seen. One of the reactive things that happens to me nowadays is in the news media, they always have this excellent Muslim who's got X amount of PhDs or is a doctor, whatever, speaking for it. And it's wait, why do I have to have all these accolades to live or to be validated, right? How many of you watch Saturday Night Live? I was much more empowered, and this sounds like I'm typecasting myself, I was much more empowered by what Aziz Ansari said. It's let's cut to Khalid who's got, the ketchup on his pants, right? Humanize people, right? And it was hard for me to do this, and I still struggle with it, because that impulse to need to fix everything, to rise above it, to be the more excellent person, to explain yourself constantly to people who, one, don't understand or don't want to understand, right? And again, don't want to understand. Not every conversation is safe, and not every curious question is one that is actually wanting to understand who you are. But I still live with that, right? I still jolt in my sleep. My wife knows that. I still kind of just, I have this this tension. And I used to think that was a bad thing, that there's something wrong with me. But recently in my life, I work as a family therapist, and I knew that I couldn't be hypocritical if I'm helping other people with this, is that, no, that's not that something's wrong with me, it's unfinished business. There's something inside of you that's telling you you still need to go to that spot and reclaim it and heal it. And when I was in high school, one of the first things I did is I put my truth on a piece of paper and I read it to myself. This is what I'm dealing with. And throughout my life, I won't go too much into it, I've been slowly inching at doing that more and more and more. And I did it with my own story. But what I do now is in addition to being a mental health professional, I don't see expression, telling yourself who you are, telling others who you are, and healing as different. I believe that they're married. So when other people, like some of the people who are presenting today, got up, that's a cathartic thing, right? To both witness and to share. And so we have this nonprofit that me and a team had developed about 2 years ago called the Narratives of Pain, which is sort of, it germinated out of Southeast Michigan. It germinated from the Muslim community, but it's for people who are recovering, or are disenfranchised, or ex-cons, or people who have been abused in their life, or are survivors of XYZ, right? But they're looking for an opportunity to say, this is who I am, and they want a safe environment to do it. And so narratives is about that. It's just about holding sessions where people sort of tell their truth, and they do so in an environment where it's supposed to be safe. And you know, it's not just vaguely safe, right? It's like something we actually put parameters in place. But that's something that I'm doing now. But I think like seeing everybody talk here today, when you witness something, it also adds to that healing, and it gives people the opportunity to keep going. When people get up here and talk, you know, I originally wasn't going to speak today, but everyone else spoke, and I was like, no, that's my invitation to keep going myself, and I hope that that continues with everyone else. So thank you.